Everybody, I'm Love Coach Scott Catamas, and I am welcoming you to the Saturday night edition of The Awakening World. We are blessed because my co-host is the amazing Guinevere. And so it's wonderful to have Guinevere with us tonight. So welcome, Guinevere. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for welcoming me, Scott. I'm very blessed to be here with you. I'm excited to share with you tonight. And also, I'm really excited to see all the amazing energy that's going to be moving around.
Absolutely. It's going to be a powerful show. I want to let you know that earlier this week, one of our favorite presenters on Global Peace Tribe shows passed away. Some of you might remember Michael Tamura, beautiful man. And he was always smiling. Every time I saw him at conferences or had him on the show. He was just always looked like that. Anyway, Michael passed away this week. And so we're going to dedicate a good portion of tonight's show to honoring Michael. Whoops, I did the wrong thing. There we go. Where is she? There she is.
I was like, where am I? Let me check. I'm here, I think.
I'm already confused. It's like the evening, the energies are coming in. I want to, by way of introduction, and some of you have heard this story before, but I've known Guinevere we just figured out, for 22 years. First met her when I was producing, back when I was doing shows like Strange Universe and Looking Beyond. She was one of the sidekicks that we worked with. And I know you earlier because those shows were in the late 90s. Many years went by, and in 2011, my wife passed away. And I hadn't spoken to Guinevere for at least a decade. We were Facebook friends. And after my wife passed away, I was moving from my office through my bedroom real quickly to go to the bathroom. And as I entered the bedroom, for a flash, I saw my wife, who had passed away earlier, on the bed smiling at me. And it was one of those quick things, so fast. I was like, but of course, it was so fast and she was gone. Go back to my computer, and within minutes, I get a Facebook private message from Guinevere saying, "Hi, Scott, your wife," first off, I acknowledge the passage of your wife. I've been following this, and she just came to me and wanted me to reach out and let you know, yes, you did just see her. Yeah. It was a while after that I came to visit you in Asheville. You connected to my wife on the other side, and I had an incredible conversation with her that night through you. So thank you so much for your amazing service to our world, to me personally, and it's always such an honor. It's really become a tradition every year for our All Hallows Eve show. You are the central part of our show. So thank you for being my co-host tonight.
I'm obviously always honored to be your co-host. I always knew that there was a divine alignment between us. The longer I knew you, the more I saw that our different groups, people I didn't even know you knew, were all intersecting. And I was like, this was always going to happen. I was always going to be part of your energy at some point. Now I'm going to actually add to something that I never really spoke on about when I met you and also your wife, because I feel like in the past I've let you speak on it, but I've never really kind of added to. The night before I actually met you, a very powerful spirit entered my room, probably I'm going to say 2 a.m, and crashed my curtains down. So it was very, very obvious. And then sat down on the edge of my bed, looked like the God version of you, which is very interesting because the thing I love is when I met you, you had long auburn hair. And the person who came up to me was you now, basically, but like if we amplify you to God version. And you, for real, I'm not even kidding. And you sat down across from me and you were sharing these profound spiritual passages that is you now. So when I met you, you weren't this person that you became. And you sitting across from me, I was in awe and completely taken off guard. So when I finally did meet you, it's one of the reasons why when we were in the room of psychics, I was the only psychic that knew about your previous relationship with Whoopi Goldberg.
Right. That's right.
And I believe Lily Tomlin too. And it's because you told me. How's that for them apples?
Amazing. Amazing.
Now you know something extra. So I didn't even read you there. I just I got all the information from you the night before.
Wow.
Return to sushi. Then what took place was that same day that I inboxed you, I saw you, like I was just in a meditation, and I see this beautiful being that looks more like an angel than a human being turn, look at you, and just beam sunlight, the most beautiful smile. And then she turned to me and she said, please don't let him think that he imagined it. It's very important he knows that I made sure to acknowledge that I would never leave his heart. And that was something I wanted to share with you tonight, especially considering the moon, considering Michael, considering this phase.
Thank you. I'm a little choked up.
Well, you know I love you. And it was really funny. It's a brother-sister love at first sight. I mean, I loved you from the minute I saw you. And it's so beautiful when that happens. There's no weirdness to it. It's just a pure flow.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome, welcome, welcome.
Share with us about how do we work with this lunar eclipse energy?
Okay, well, first off, it's a big one. And I know everybody's feeling it, and I know everybody's probably feeling it incredibly hard right now. Depending on whether or not you got on top of the most recent solar eclipse that we just had, that one that just happened, okay? Because we're in the middle, we're in bookends right now. That solar eclipse is connected to the solar eclipse that's coming up in April. So technically speaking, right now, we're actually inside of an energetic portal that's asking us to assess the harm or the pain or the things that need to be healed within us so that we can step into a golden era or a new dawn kind of energy of a world. And you know, I've spoken to you in the past about portals, and I've learned them. Portals have been teaching me themselves, because each time I cross through one and come out the other side, I've learned what just happened. So this lunar eclipse placed so elegantly between the two, right? Solar, lunar. We're in the eclipse season. This one placed in the middle is literal. It's so rare to run into a literal one that's having a direct dialogue that's not even mysterious, because its choice of coming on the full moon right before Halloween, Samhain, veils between the worlds is thinnest, is asking us to get in touch with the gifts that our ancestors have left us to navigate moving forward without getting caught in the gunk of what we've been through. We have to continue to purge and heal while being effective and clear, because it's a balanced one. This is a very balanced eclipse. Eclipses usually force you into your shadow self. This one's actually forcing you to death, which is different, okay? Because death is change and transformation and birth. And it's already been such an active eclipse that it has been showing itself in symbols. The people that it kind of churns or upsets or disrupts are the people it's resetting, okay? So if people have been having a hard time, you're supposed to look at that as an opportunity. A doorway of opportunity is being presented right now, especially considering the fact that this inheriting the gifts of the ancestors, so that we are like Perseus, where, you know, he's given Bubo the owl, he's given the shield, he's given Pegasus. We're given gifts to be able to take on larger tasks and do amazing and extraordinary things. So this is a very unique one. I will also say it ruined my whole day, but not for a bad reason. A gift that was shown to me many, many years ago was the energy of cattle being associated with wealth, because way back in the day, cattle was money, right? Well, my neighbor's cows got in my yard, and I spent literally from 3 a.m. last night, full moon, to about 6 p.m. my time, chasing cows out of my yard. Big cows. We're talking longhorns.
Wow.
But that's the symbol, though, which is really funny because I actually knew the connection. So the fact that it happened now was something I was like, okay, I know the connection. So I'm imploring audience and people who are watching right now to pay attention to when you're noticing that it is somebody that has passed, somebody you dearly love is trying to reach out to you and give you a gift, because this is the time to receive it.
Wow, beautiful. And what about, I've heard that, you know, this is a time where it's like a reset button. That's what the Twin Ray was saying. Anything you
It
can
is
say?
literally a reset. That's why I used the word death and rebirth.
Mhm.
The other thing that I had come visiting to share that with me was I had a raven violently peg me with an acorn yesterday. And acorns represent the new story, the new birth, the new doorway.
Wow.
And ravens, by the way, are ancestors in magic.
What does that actually mean? What?
Well, I mean, ravens do what ravens do, right? I was walking along the street and it was making purring and flirting sounds. And I was focused on where I was going, and it decided, well, I was actually talking to you and you're not paying attention to me, so I'm going to get your attention. And it partially peeled an acorn and it threw it at me, and it bounced off my shoulder. And the only reason why I know it threw it at me is because it didn't fall out of the tree. It wasn't just a bounce off. It was like a violent, and it just continued to purr and giggle at me. It was really kind of adorable.
Wow.
I have the acorn. Far be it for me to frown on a gift from a raven. I mean, Odin would be horrified. In the woods is usually doing their own thing. But when they see that opportunity to engage and they think that this could be a moment where I could have some fun scaring the heck out of somebody, they do in fact interfere, which is why the costuming happened, was so they're them off first. So the idea that they see you wandering down the street, they're like, it's just a ghost, not a person. Don't want to bother that person. Of the most amazing dialogues with everything from our ancestors to even the hobgoblin, if you want to dare it, to deities and gods. And then the honoring with the candles and the gourd and the candy, so every spirit is fed, keeps you when is an opportunity to be part of a dance that doesn't necessarily ask us to be part of the practical chores of the practical world. We're being asked to remember that we're more than just our flesh. Our bone is the only thing we really leave behind, and sometimes even that's pulverized into sand and dirt, right? But our spirits continue and dance between and with us at all times. It just, if you're a medium like I am, you can access that more fluidly. But now even a normal person who's just a little bit intuitive can also access it. I still require people to understand, protect yourself, create sacred things in your homes. I don't salt the earth because that's bad for the earth, but I use salt to put over my boundaries, for instance, like right over the doorstep or right over the windowsill, so that mischief isn't moving on somebody, because people can have a hobgoblin hop onto them and walk into your home. So I just let that the salt scrubs them off. At this point, I think I am sacred Samhain.
And where does kind of the Day of the Dead, the Mexican tradition, how does that kind of fit in? Like, is it that every culture just recognized that this is when the veils are thin, so they created their own version of connection to our loved ones on the other side?
I have also noticed that Ireland and Mexico didn't have that ability to confer with each other. But they all had their own traditions. And to some degree, colonization took place. There was a mingling, but they already had their ceremonies to the dead, and they already were connected to those energies and the understanding of truly honoring and respecting. I think they are potentially the most elegant version of honoring the dead I've ever seen in my life. I have considered myself incredibly lucky to learn and to interact and engage with them, because it has expanded my ability to see the sacredness and being part of that whole process. So everybody's bringing something that we all have this. I'm going to say that we all have an innate knowledge within our spirituality about what is sacred and how to behave in sacred ways. And each person's traditions may be close, but not the same. But when we engage with each other, we're constantly transforming traditions. We're constantly integrating traditions. We're sharing, we're favoring each other. That form of harmonic flow is the human family, is a deep thing, because long before the continents divided, we were one family. And so we would have, basically, when we're talking ancestral, we're also talking DNA, right? We have that information that comes through that we all, to some degree, share. So there's a flow that is all of us, a oneness.
Beautiful. And during the meditation that you're going to lead, will that be an opportunity for us to kind of begin to get prepared to connect to our beloveds on the other side? And what do you suggest as ways for us to do that?
One of my favorite ways of dialoguing with the other side is the concept of feeding the dead, right? The spirit plate. When you are looking at Dia de los Muertos, you're looking at usually marigolds is the flower that is primarily used. You're looking at actual sugar skulls, made of sugar. This one's a resin skull. But, you have your actual skulls. I myself have different skulls assigned to hold spaces for ancestors or for even deities, especially when you're thinking about Kali as a transition goddess that works with the dead and is a cemetery goddess. One of the things I've always found fascinating about this time of year is how many cultures globally are involved in the same practice at the same time. For instance, what you experience with Samhain, which is the Irish pagan festival, is one part of it. It was originating from Ireland. It was originating through Ireland and France, and it moved through those areas. And then when you think about Halloween, that's when the church came into the picture. So, All Saints Day, Hallows Eve, had mentioned, and you can see that all these people were honoring the dead at this time. But we're going to go and focus in on Samhain and what makes Halloween Halloween and what makes Samhain Samhain. First off, Samhain is the Wiccans' New Year. It is the end of the year, for real. It's the end of the harvest cycles. It's the last harvest, which is why we have pumpkins and we have nuts and fruits, and everybody's getting ready for it all to go. And the goddess, which is a green goddess of the earth, has lost the god. He goes to seed at this time. So it's kind of that really intimate energy around drawing in what we love and what we lost, because we have to be prepared for the coming winter when the god is born again, as Merry Christmas, everybody. So Yule, the goddess comes back at Yule, and then of course we go May 1st for when they go into reunion. So it's an interesting cycle that says Happy New Year, and by the way, honor the dead. Recognize that they're amongst us. This time of year, the chains, anything that stops the living and the dead from flowing together, is completely broken. All that is taken away. So the living, that would be us when we're doing a very good job, can become incredibly influenced by this energy that moves through. So what we need to do when it's this time of year is we have to understand that certain traditions were in place as kinds of forms of protection of the fact that these worlds have shattered at this time. Life and death has opened the veil. There is no veil anymore. It's literally gone. And it creates timelessness. It creates bonding. So I'm going to start a very interesting ceremony that represents this whole thing. And as I take you through it, each of the things I show you is part of that whole thing. So enjoy, and we start. This represents the bonfire. They lit the bonfires so the dead could find their way. If you're with me right now, what I want you to do is I want you to go into your heart. And I want you to imagine this is the initiation. This is the bonfire of your heart. This is the calling of positive forces to be with you tonight. When you can see and experience and influence and be influenced by beautiful things. But being influenced by beautiful things isn't the only thing that happens. Fairies are loose. Demons are loose. Ghosts are loose. We have our loved ones with us. But so are all different kinds of mischievous spirits. So what do we do about that, right? Well, we ring a bell to discourage mischief. Go away, oh mischievous ones. Go, go back. We're not working with mischief. We're not working with demons. Let that bell bless you and surround you with that light. And as you already know, you light the bonfires. You burn all different kinds of plants. You burn evergreen trees. Whatever you need to burn, it helps purify and sanctify your area. So you want to keep that strongly in mind. But where did the candy come from, right? Where did the candy come from? Well, because this was a time to honor your beloved ones. After you sent off the mischievous spirits and you wanted to honor them, you would sacrifice fruits and nuts. You would create a feast in their honor, very much just like Dia de los Muertos. So that altar that Rosie shared, You want to see that altar in your heart right now. You see that bonfire in your heart right now, burning bright. You want to see an altar being set within your soul to prepare a sacred feast for your loved ones. And did I bring a sacred feast? Yes, I did, because you have to sacrifice the nuts and the fruits. So here is the sacrifice. Kids going door to door, asking for candy, representing the spirits of the fairies, the spirits of the ancestors you want visiting you at this time of year, and you give them candy. So they're happy, so they're fed, and they'll wander door to door visiting their relatives. So you want to see that tonight, your beloved ones who've moved in spirit are going to visit you. What kind of sacrifice are you going to leave on the table? Like the Dia de los Muertos altar with the food, with the bread. You want to make sure you feed the dead. So do so, please. So bring in your attention to those 4 sacred corners. In the first, as we focus on the east, which is the golden doorway, this candle represents your family that has gone into spirit. This is the bonfire to your family. See this bonfire lighting inside you and around you, surrounding everyone you love with beauty and tenderness. Fathers, mothers, cousins, aunts, uncles, hear their names in your heart. Hear them. This candle represents the children. If you're a parent and you've lost a beloved child, see this bonfire, this candle in your child's heart. See it deep within you. If you've left behind a sacred partner, a wife, a husband, a dear love, see this candle burning in their heart. Invite them to have candy, feast with you. And finally, this represents all forms of friends, family, loved ones, children, pets, saints, angels, fairies. See it burning around you. Know that as you do this tonight, they hear you, they see you, they've come to frolic, they've come door to door to enjoy a meal with you. We are all together and we will take flight tonight. Oracles, dancing, bonfires light their way. And you know what you get to do? You get to plan your future with them again. Now is the time when you think about their reincarnation. They will come back again. And now tonight, you get to think about how you will know them again, how you will be reunited. For one thing we can all know is coming. We are all born and we all die. So this is a very sacred time to offer these things. Fire, smoke, candy, scents, dancing, costumes, and love. Speak to your loved ones. So I want everybody to feel into their body. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Make sure the breath, just hold it for a second. Just bring it in. It's good to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Take a breath in. Out through the mouth. Feeling back into the body. On this third one, I want you to locate the parts of your body that is hurting today. On that last out breath, if you've located the shoulders as the issue, hips as the issue, jaw as the issue, or even that you notice that you're holding your face tensely or in a frown, I want you to take this moment literally to center yourself inside of the exact spot that hurts and start to see a beautiful light coming from this full moon, a silvery light descending down, down, down into that beautiful, beautiful area where the pain is asking for that healing. These are opportunities, so go to where the pain is, go to where the vibration is stuck, and let that silver moonlight feel like sacred water and let it flow through. See it releasing. You're not alone. See it releasing. You are with the people who love you. See it releasing because this moon is calling in your most sacred ancestors. And let it fall, fall, fall like autumn leaves away. While your eyes are closed, I want you to hear the sound of the rustling of the leaves as they're moving on the wind. And as these leaves are rustling around you, you realize you can feel the cool, crisp damp of autumn's shifting season. It's going to come in and around you like a sacred hug. The wind that's rustling the leaves, the sound of an owl hooting in the distance, you can hear it. Maybe it's a great owl, maybe it's a screech owl. Everybody experiences these things differently. And as you sit here and you let the silver light come in, I want you to see yourself surrounding yourself with an orb of light. You are literally inside of the moon now. And you're seeing yourself inside of that light, deeply protected. And you realize that you're being watched by loving eyes. You can feel the love from the eyes. And you can see in the distance the forms of the people you've loved who have passed starting to approach you. As they approach you, you are standing in the field, holding a beautiful white pumpkin out. And maybe as the mist is starting to part, you might recognize the face of a beloved smiling at you now, seeing this beautiful gift you are offering, this beautiful white pumpkin. The pumpkin can be tiny or it can be large, but it is containing inside of it not just the seeds of the future, but a love gift that you're offering to them. All the memories, all the laughter, all the times that you did things together and learned and grew in wisdom is inside of this pumpkin you're offering to your beloved loved ones. You are handing it over. If they stay in shadow, if the moon is obscuring their features, trust that it is one who truly loves you and respects you that is receiving this gift. Sit in front of them in a state of beauty, knowing that you're being greeted by somebody who's going to assist you now in a deep transformational change in your life. One who knows the way and has seen it coming long before you knew the way is sitting now across from you. Maybe they're shining. Maybe they're a light. Whatever form they've chosen, even if it's the form of an animal, they are engaging you from a space of absolute respect. Now I want you to see that they are placing very carefully around you a beautiful circle of lit candles, because they want to make sure that you understand that every single lit candle that they're placing around you in a perfect circle is an ancestor you have never met, that you do not know the name of, that goes back 1 generation, 2 generations, 3 generations, 4, 5, 6, 7. Some of you will reach the 7th of these ancestors sitting around you in a perfect circle. Some of you will notice that a spiral of them will start to expand out, 7 more and 7 more, until you are sitting in the middle of a lotus blossom of ancestors smiling on you. Each of them is lighting a candle, and each candle that you're witnessing being lit has a different color. And each of the colors represent a gift that they are leaving you. Some forgotten poem, some forgotten science, some forgotten agriculture, some forgotten story, some forgotten protection, some forgotten art form. All these solutions are being lit around you, and each of the candles, as they start to flicker, start to rise, and what happens next is phenomenal. You see, as they're rising and rising, that you're in a circle that is now more of a bonfire, completely surrounding you, than it was the candles. And as it burns in a beautiful way, not harming, not touching, a secret special sacred spirit fire, sometimes green, sometimes purple, changing, shifting. They ask you now to throw in any of the directions. You can stand, you can spin, you can dance inside the vision in physical form if you'd like to do it performatively. They want you to throw your obstacles into the fire. They want you to surrender the areas that have the pain in your body. Those spaces in the shoulder, in the hip, in the knee, that you have stored pain, that they passed on to you for you to heal for them. And they know it's time for you to put it in the fire so that you realize that you've taken their pain and now you will purge that pain. You have taken their sorrow and now you will purge that sorrow. You hear in the distance the sound of wind again. The leaves are stirring, the fire is starting to die. And you notice that silver moonlight is starting to become a little dimmer and a little dimmer. It's becoming quieter and quieter. The sound of the wind is settling. The sound of the owl is over. You can hear your heartbeat and your breathing, and you can still feel them all around you. But it is very quiet as they're introducing you to the inside of that gift you gave them. The womb consciousness, a fresh birth, a gestation of who you can become, an inheritance of beautiful things is now growing in this darkness, just like you grew in the darkness, just like they prayed for you to grow in the darkness so that you would become strong. In that darkness, in that void, is the possibility of all things. Carefully pick the things that you want to see expanding. Greater love, greater wisdom, greater health. They're going to ask you to settle yourself again, but now into your hips. For you are in the darkness, and the darkness is holding you in your hips. And inside of your hips is the cradle. And they want you to see the first dream you want to manifest come springtime. Because as they're guiding you towards springtime, they're guiding you to the doorway that will open before you. And they want all of your focus on that. And this is what they say to you now. As I speak these words, these are the words coming through. They say to you, you are worthy. Now, whether in your heart or out loud, say, I am worthy. They say, you are loved. Say out loud or inside of your heart, I am loved. They say, you are protected. You say, I am protected. They say, we prayed for you and you came. And you say, I accept the mission of your love and I am happy to be an answer to the dreams you always wanted to see become you. They say, you are nature. And you say, I am nature. They say, you are a force for good. Hold that sentence. It's a powerful one. I am a force for good. Now you see fairies coming along, sprinkling food for you. A warning, never accept food from a fairy unless you are ready for the challenge of walking into your most mystical self, because they will not return you for 20 years, 100 years, 2,000 years until they feel you have learned your magic. If you wish not to go with them, then thank them for the gift and promise that you'll take care of the natural world for them until you are ready for a journey that takes you into higher magic. But if you are ready at this stage to engage with the fairies, you may eat one treat, but be cautious. This is for the advanced. One candy. You must also offer one candy back to the fairies. That way, the exchange is equal, remembering all times that your ancestors have surrounded you and protected you. They have already told you that you are safe, you have a purpose, and you are being guided. This is the time to open your magic like a book and start reading a story that enchants and titillates and causes mirthful laughter and the release of things that are unnatural to you. This spirit world, mixing with our human world, merely wants you to know that you are loved as a natural and supernatural being and wants you to accept this journey at your own pace, in your own time, and in your own way. To see yourself getting ready to integrate something farther, but it will happen later. It will happen on Halloween night, maybe in the middle of the day, maybe in a dream, maybe in a waking vision, but it will come then to inform you of the gifts that are being exchanged. Know that you are blessed. Know that you are cared for. Light the incense so that you can send your prayers to your ancestors and the beings beyond. Light your candles so that you know that you're guiding them with the light. With your pumpkins out, to accept that you are seeding the future with fertility and life. And thank them for the gift they've given you, for the opportunity to be in this wild world is quite a large one, and it's quite a gift. Be blessed, see yourself lit with a sacred fire, and at your own pace, gently step out of the circle into your life. Give yourself time, whether you can open your eyes quickly or whether you open your eyes slowly. Know that you have encountered ancestors, animal spirits, fairies, and guides, and that they will take good care of you. Be blessed and be blessed and be blessed.
That was just beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you for the wonderful advice about how to handle those fairies. Make sure it's an equal
Got to be careful. You eat fairy candy, you're going with them.
Yeah, that was, as you're saying that, I never thought of it that way, but it really, you brought such a beautiful quality to that. Thank you so much.
You got to give them candy. You got to give them candy.
Give the treats to they like the most.
Okay, if we're talking fairies, they like hazelnuts. They prefer hazelnuts. They like seasonal fruits, which is one of the reasons why this time of year you see the pumpkins, the gourds, the squashes. Love apples. Apples invoke Iduna. She's the goddess of apples, of apple orchards. So that also brings her energy and that influx of fertility that she represents coming into this season. Obviously, offering them a little pumpkin pie doesn't hurt anybody. Now we're in the world of sugar and high fructose corn syrup. They prefer natural treats if you have them, including raisins.
No high fructose corn syrup. Okay.
No, if you're going to prepare something for them, either give them something fresh or actually take the time. And last year I did it. I made an ancestor cake. So I used all fresh, healthy ingredients. I splurged on the whole cake because I was baking it to give to my ancestors and to share the meal with them. And obviously I do lots of fairy work, which is why I know how mischievous they can be. So you have to create a beautiful balance of chord with them, or it can be pretty sticky.
I'm going to read some of the comments that have come in. Charlotte writes, so magical and beautiful. Thank you, Guinevere. Omishar sent a little fairy image. Laura Chamberlain wrote, so beautiful. I will go with the fairies. I've always wanted to. Laura writes, we'll bake something tomorrow for all of my ancestors. And Tiara writes, thank you so much. Yes, her birthday is Halloween, so we will be celebrating your birthday,
That's
Tiara.
going to be amazing.
I want to acknowledge all the people watching on 150 different Facebook groups and pages, the Conscious Awakening Network, Ellen Steinfeld's YouTube channel, our YouTube channel. Welcome. Thank you for watching. Hey, brother, how was that meditation for you?
The meditation was phenomenal. Thank you so much. And I love that we got to be with the fairy folk because not many people go there. And I love the fairy folk, and especially when I'm visiting England, I'll go into the ancient growth forest there, and I'll feel the fairy folk. I have not felt it so much over here in Colorado, but definitely over there I don't have to believe in them because they are there and they tap you on the shoulders and throw nuts at you and things. So thank you so much for that beautiful meditation, which took.
Just want to acknowledge Michael Tamura, such a beautiful, beautiful man. And he was on the show many, many times. First, when we were Saturday Night Alive for the Global Peace Tribe. And I know many of you go back to those years with us. And Michael was on that show, and then he was on The Awakening World as well. And he passed away this week. And it was a very peaceful passage. He was feeling great. He was feeling good. He had a good breakfast, and he went into his exercise room. And then his wife noticed that he was in longer than usual. She went in, and there he was, slumped over one of his machines, and he just gently left his body. And so we really appreciate Michael a lot. And so I'm going to play some of his segments from when he was on the show with us previously. Now, ironically, Michael was always on the shows about near-death experiences because he, like Guinevere, had multiple near-death experiences. So he would tend to come onto our shows and talk about what to expect, what it's like, how to manage it. So let's take a look at Michael from the last time he was on our show. What is your message for people that are dealing with the loss of loved ones who have passed?
Oh yeah, that's so important right now, especially with so many people seemingly making a mass exodus. But any of you who are dealing with that and dealing with any part of the process of dying and death, you've all heard probably time and again from various people, and even people who've had personal experiences of having died and then returning, is called near-death experiences, or they've had experiences of reincarnation, or they've worked extensively with the dying. Somewhere along the way, you've heard that you never die. Your physical body may die, but you continue to live in a different form. Those of you who are more religious, you may have been brought up with the idea of an afterlife. And then those who have the gift of mediumship or you've been to mediums to contact your loved ones who've passed on, there seems to be a continuum. But just intellectually knowing that you never die and that you don't ever have to be afraid of death or even when you have a religious belief in the afterlife, that's not going to fundamentally change your relationship to death and dying, especially when the prospect of dying gets close to home. If you are already currently dealing with the death of loved ones, or you're considering even the prospect of them or you eventually dying, no matter how much you might understand or believe that no one ever really dies, you may still worry, experience fear, or definitely grieve when that life process that we call dying and death is imminent or has already happened. So fundamentally, transforming and healing your relationship to death and dying requires you to go beyond fear. That's kind of my experience. It's at the bottom of it, we run into this thing called fear. and it's not until somebody dies or you're starting to really face that prospect of dying that you get to that fear. If you're committed to getting beyond it, you get to that fear, because none of us wants to live in fear. It's one thing we just don't want to deal with. And in my experience of teaching spiritual seekers for decades, that fear, terror especially, is the last emotion that the advancing soul, the soul on a advanced level of spiritual growth, actually deals with. You have to deal with it ongoing, but it's when the soul is ready, says, okay, I'm gonna go beyond fear, and starts to actively deal with that fear. It's pretty much they're quite far along. And so that's good news on the one hand. In the world today, for the last several decades, terrorism has been on the front headlines practically all the time in one form or the other. And today it's just all over the place, domestic terrorism, individual personal abuse, type of terror, and global terrorism. What is that? Oh yeah. If you're a terrorist, you're the one who's most in fear. You can't be a terrorist and not be in terror. That's anyone who's loving and at peace. They're not going to be a terrorist, right? Even though terrorists are humans, and I'm sure each horrible terrorist that the world might consider them to be, really pure evil, even they have someone or something they love. So it's not complete, but their fear side. So then, what's your fear of death and dying? And it essentially boils down to your fear of losing your life as who you believe you are. That's different than
You want to go outside?
you die and you lose your life. No, when your body is no longer, you're dead and gone. Is because they so believe that they are this particular body. Even to, I'm a healer, I'm a teacher, identify ourselves. In our own mind, we associate, this is who I am. If you believe that you're the form you're identified with as you, then and even the prospect of losing that form will bring about fear. Loss of a loved one dies, or your whatever you love dies. Your career that you absolutely love dies. My love is gone. So if years of hard work and you become, let's say, a celebrated concert pianist, the last thing you're going to want to happen to you is lose the use of your hands. And music is my life. And if I can't play, I don't have a life.
I'd love to get kind of your take on what he's been sharing.
One of the things I want to share is his presence is very strong. And the honoring him so close to his crossing is such a huge gift, because each person he's touching right now, he's experiencing it at a level he's never experienced it before. When you talk to people or share a story or give a gift of wisdom, something you've learned in your lifetime, you don't really get to experience the full, layered, vibrational, emotional, spiritual, and even physical responses of the person hearing you. And he is feeling everybody right now. He also shared with me, because he's so strong right now, he's so strong. He's sharing with me the way he ascended. I think that this is the week of the ascended heroes. I was mentioning to Scott earlier that a dear relative had passed in South Dakota. And it seems to me that people who were ready to stand up and move without any terror at all into the arms of ancestors and astral guidance is this week. This, again, we're in this bookends of the solars, and right here in the middle of this beautiful eclipse lunar, he literally showed me that, one, he felt struck by lightning. Two, he experienced a surge of ecstasy. Can you imagine a surge of ecstasy? And three, he went into active vision. He saw, what he's showing me is he saw beautiful emerald iridescent orbs coming up all around him. He didn't know that they were already greeting him. They were already celebrating him. And then he just stepped right out of his body, which is so awe-inspiring for him to have shared that with me while speaking to me about this whole transcending terror. And then he's literally shown me, and he showed me the transcendence beyond that before he spoke on it in the video you just showed me. So I'm having a multi-layered experience over here, and I'm going to tell you right now, this might be my favorite show. I want to be hard and say, when I said I've become Sacred Samhain, I have such a deep intimacy as somebody who's also died and who speaks to spirit. And at this time of year, and to have his presence is the greatest gift I've been able to enjoy in real time in a long time. Because I'm sitting here with an ascended spirit going, oh, what else? Oh my gosh, that's exciting.
Wow, that is really, really cool. Well,
it's
let's see if he.
Beautiful.
Well, we're going to go to part 2 of this video.
I'm wagging my tail.
This is fun. This is really fun, and thank you again, Guinevere, for your amazing. Michael, I would love for you to share a little bit, maybe about your near-death experience, what you've learned from it, and then any practice of how we can manage our fear of death or our attachment to our form.
Okay, that would be great. A couple of months before I turned 21 years old, my teacher all of a sudden said, hey, Tabora, have a choice in how we'd like to die. That was the proverbial 2x4 between my eyes. That got me going, whoa. And then he followed it up with, well, you could choose to die in pain and suffering, as most people tend to do, or you can choose to die in love and at peace with yourself. And when I heard that, I didn't waste an instant. At that moment, I made the decision, when my time comes, I will die in love, at peace with myself. From that moment I made that decision, I started to practice dying correctly every day.
Isn't that amazing? Like, you hadn't seen this. You didn't know what he was going to say, right? Isn't this something?
I'm sitting here in gales of ecstasy. I mean, what a wonderful opportunity for us all. What a beautiful proof about what this even lunar eclipse is about. I mean, he's taken a seat with us right here, right now. He accomplished. I've got chills all over my whole body. I want to cry, but not with sadness. I want to cry with bliss, with ecstasy. I don't have words. I mean, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Big whoa. Big whoa. I had not watched this either. I just pulled them today, and so we're all on the ride together, everybody.